You are now listening to the Q&E Podcast.
Is this what you want? Huh? Is this what you want? Well, try again, goddammit!
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Q&E Podcast. You are here with your boy Q Hicks right now. And I got Edgar on the other line. Edgar, tell the people what's good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Q&E Podcast. Hey, we got a Spiral review for y'all today. Anybody who loves horror movies in general, but especially the Saw series, this is a spin-off version of that series that we've come to know and love when it comes to gore and killing and all that type of stuff. So we got a lot of mixed reviews on it. We like it, but there's some stuff that we had to nitpick on, you know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and dive into this.
Yeah, like Edgar said, man, I fucked with the film. It was one thing about this film that obviously it's a part of the Saw series, so you're going to compare it to past Saw movies. But if you just take this film in stride and just try not to think about the Saw series, like this is actually a very good movie, how everything turned out. And you got to think about the COVID issues as well. And that was something that I kind of shot them some bail for. Because in some scenes you can say like, damn, they kind of rushed through this movie, like the traps and the drawn out nature of things that you got in the Saw series. Like you just didn't get that. And it was just, everything just felt rushed when it came to the traps and shit. So I was like, damn, maybe that has something to do with COVID, or that's maybe how they wanted the film to go. Like, I really don't know, but I shot them some bail a little bit when I rated this film. So I'm gonna just say that. But if you guys do not know what Spiral is, I'm going to give you guys the synopsis. Working in the shadow of his father, Detective Ezekiel Zeke Banks and his rookie partner take charge of an investigation into grisly murders that are eerily reminiscent of the city's gruesome past. Unwittingly entrapped in a deepening mystery, Zeke finds himself at the center of the killer's morbid game. So, Edgar, what was your reaction coming into the film? Not your reaction, but your expectation coming into the film.
My expectations, I've never seen Chris Rock in a serious role before. If I have, I just don't remember off the top of my head. I know you said you've seen him in like one or two serious roles before in prior movies. So this was new to me. And in the first 5 to 10 minutes, it was hard for me to take him serious because in my opinion, Chris Rock, he just has a face that doesn't scream serious, so that was my number one expectation. Like, what am I going to get from a serious Chris Rock? And how are they going to start this new franchise? Because Saw was just so original. It was just so unheard of. Like, we've never seen anything sinister like that in the horror genre. So I was just real interested to see how they were going to carry that tradition on. So those are my only two big expectations.
I did know that it was going to be a part of the Saw series, but I wanted it to be different in some way. And that's how I feel like I got that with this. Like I said before, you didn't get the drawn out nature of the traps, but you did get more story and more of a story that made sense other than what you get with the Saw series. Because in the original Saw series with John Kramer, his traps his traps were great, but his reasoning didn't make sense. It was just like he was just doing shit for the fun of it. But when we realized in this movie that the killer really had good reasoning behind what he was doing, he was trying to reform the police department because what the police department ended up doing to his father and the dirty cop shit that was involved in the whole department that was in that city, bro. So I like the reasoning and the story way more in this film than I would say in the original Saw films. So it really depends on why you like Saw. Most people like Saw for the gore, for the traps, for the originality. But if you like Saw for the story and Kramer's background, I feel like you would really enjoy this film more than the normal Saw fan would.
And I think the reason people love the original Saw so much, even though the storyline wasn't that strong, we love villains and we love horror that doesn't always have to have a purposeful meaning behind it. Sometimes you want your villain or you want your maniacal person to be sinister. That's just because that's who they are. You know, I feel like that's why everybody loves the Joker. The Joker has no like end goal. Like his goal is just chaos. Like, and that's a never ending goal. It could always get worse. The same way something can always get better, it can always get worse. So that's why we love the Joker. And I feel like that's why we love movies like Saw, even paranormal movies like The Conjuring and stuff like that, where it's just evil shit and there's no true reasoning behind it. There's no true motive. It's just that's what's going on. So I do agree. This movie definitely did deliver a great story. I felt like just because of the fact that it was given such an in-depth story, it could have been longer. I feel like this movie,
It could have.
COVID did mess up a lot of movies, so I feel like that probably played a part.
And
in
they
why
shot
it
this in
wasn't
the
as
midst
long
of
as it should have.
COVID as well. They shot this in the midst of COVID. Yeah, I read that.
This definitely could have been a 2-hour, 25-minute movie, and I wouldn't have been mad.
Yeah, and that could have helped with them drawing out the traps and things like that. Because in this film, when we go through the first couple of kills, I think Boz was our first kill. That was like the opening scene when he had his tongue inside that one trap, and then the train ended up killing him. It was like, we know he's not getting out of this, bro. He's not getting out alive. And with most Saw kills, you at least give the victim some type of hope that you're going to get out of this. It's going to be painful, but you're going to get out of it some kind of way. And with all the kills that we've seen in this film, it was just like, they're not getting out of this shit. When my boy had his fingers in the shit and eventually got electrocuted, I think that was Fitch. It was like, come on, bro. We know he's not getting out of it. And I think that's where it really hurt them with not drawing it out. If you drew it out, it's like, okay, we might feel like he has a chance. But it's just like everything was just so quick. Like he had a minute to get out of that. And Fitch and Boz had like a couple of minutes to get out of the tongue trap. It was like shit was just too quick. When in the Saw series, we love the drawn out nature of feeling like somebody could eventually get out. And a couple of victims usually do get out and survive the Saw traps. And we're like, okay, we got to see that. I like that. And in this film, we really didn't see anybody get out of their trap. So it felt like no hope when it came to that.
And I think that's the best thing to motivate fear, like the fact that there is some type of hope of getting out of it. And that's what drives your adrenaline. That's what makes us as viewers look at it like, whoa, this is like some really scary shit. Like if it's something that, like you said, we know you're not going to survive, it's like, yeah, it's scary because we're just looking at you gruesomely go through a death. But at the same time, it's like we're not scared of the fact that you're like in a trap because we know you're not getting out. But if you're in a trap that it's like, oh, like you actually have 10 minutes and you actually can't survive this in 10 minutes. If you like have to cut your own hand off, or you gotta like cut the back of your ear or something, like anything like that, to where it's like you could get out, is way more scarier then, because it's like, hey, that's a real life situation. Are you really going to do that to yourself? Are you going to put yourself through that type of pain? But this one, it didn't do that. And I think it's because of the storyline. He wanted these people to die no matter what. He wanted these dirty cops and these dirty detectives to die regardless.
Yeah. And he said that at the end too. When at the end, that's when I forgot what my boy name was. That was the person who ended up killing the killer's father. That was the dirty cop who killed the killer's father.
Let me see who that was.
Who was that?
I'm looking at the cast right now.
What's his name? Paul? Phil? Something like that.
Dang, they don't got everybody's name on here. I know who you're talking about though. Sorry, y'all. They don't got all the cast names on here.
So the person that ended up killing the killer's father, when we seen his trap, when he had told Chris Rock, like, you can really just sit and like stand to the side, or you can let this man, or you can sit and stand to the side and let him be killed, or you can help him. And Chris Rock ended up helping him. But when he ended up talking to the killer, he was just like, why did you help him? Like, this is a dirty cop. He's somebody who's killed before. Like, I did not want him to survive, and he wasn't going to survive, because even with Chris Rock's help, he didn't get out of that situation, bro. Right. And whether Chris Rock helped or not, he was going to die. So that's a great point that you made with that shit. And even with the captain's death, when she had got the hot wax on her face,
I knew she wasn't getting out of that.
She was either going to be paralyzed or she was going to be dead. It was like she really wasn't going to work for at least the police department anymore. So that's a great point you made with that, because I really didn't think of that, because he wanted them to die regardless. Because Kramer wanted to test your limits. That was what he wanted to do. That's why he gave you that hope, because he wanted to see how far you would go to get out of your situation and your trap. But this dude, he was mad at everybody in the police department for being dirty and eventually killing his pop. So that nigga wanted to kill you regardless, bro. So that's a great point, bro. But I
think that's a cool way of how this new generation of this spinoff is gonna go, though. Like, they're going at it in a completely different way from what we're used to seeing. Like, the Kramer method has been done, and I don't think it wouldn't have been smart for them to try and redo that. I think now, with actual motives and actual emotion driving these killings, I feel like that's gonna just make them different and make it a more reasonable type situation of understanding the plot behind all of these killings.
Because I really think in future movies we're going to get still is going to be about police reform because that's what the killer ended up saying at the end of the movie. It's still going to be about police reform, but I think it will be more hope involved. But more so in this film, it was more surrounded around Chris Rock's character and how he was trying to be a good cop in a really a terrible department where everybody was dirty, everybody had something that they were hiding, so they really were testing everybody that was doing the wrong thing because Boz. He was lying on the stand for convictions. I think Fitch didn't help out Chris Rock's character when he needed backup, and Chris Rock eventually ended up getting shot.
She did every person's killing was very specific to what they did. Like Boz lied on a lot of criminals, so that's the reason his tongue got snatched out.
Yeah,
and then Fitch, I think he typed a lot of bad reports and stuff like that, like in the system and everything. That's why his fingers were detached.
Yeah, because he was lying about what was happening. He was saying that he wasn't called for backup on certain situations when he was called by Chris Rock's character, and he was lying like, "Nah, that wasn't me. Like he ain't called me."
Detective Angie, I forgot what hers was.
She was involved with his dad. She was involved with his dad. Because that was what I was trying to bring up. It was something in the cop handbook. It was section 8, some shit that the bro was talking about, and it was like really they were killing innocent people. They just wanted to get people off of the streets, so they were killing everybody. And Samuel L. Jackson's character ended up saying that, yeah, like it really did help. Like crime went down in the city. Like we just kept going with it because crime was going down, even though it wasn't the right thing to do. And these people were most likely innocent. It was just like crime was going down, so we looked good because of it. So that's why Samuel L. Jackson ended up getting in the position that he was in, ended up dying, and that's why Angie, she was like the side kick to Samuel L. Jackson's character. So it's like you understood why she was in the situation as well. But how did you feel about Chris Rock's performance and everything that he went through in this film?
I think he did extremely well from an acting standpoint. Like I said, after the first 10, 15 minutes, when I actually did start taking him serious, like I thought he did pretty good. For his first time, me seeing him seriously. Samuel L. Jackson, his character delivered, even though he wasn't in the film too much. The parts that he was in, Samuel always delivers. But the only thing I didn't like from a acting standpoint, it maybe not even been an acting standpoint, just a storyline standpoint from this movie. I knew who the killer was like after like the first 45 minutes.
Exactly.
And that pissed me off so much.
And I had told Edgar this the other day after we had watched the film. I said, bro, when they ended up saying that, what was the boy's name? Detective William.
Detective William. I forgot his last name, but Detective William. That's his first name.
Yeah, Detective William. So after they supposedly killed Detective William, I'm just like, they never showed his body. That's the first thing, and they never showed how he got in that situation. For all other situations, they showed how they ended up getting caught up and how they ended up getting tied up. But for his killing, they never showed it. And they were trying to point you toward Captain Banks the whole time. Just like, it's not Samuel L. Jackson who's the killer. That's too simple of an answer. And they never showed us Detective William how he got into his situation. It's like, you can put 2 and 2 together and say, it's him. So that was one thing that was fucking me up, bro. I wrote that down in my notes. I was just like, he had to be involved. I didn't know if he was going to be the full-blown killer and the mastermind behind the shit, but I was like, he's involved. Had to be involved, bro. Because I was like, that shit was just too simple. So I definitely agree with that.
I think that all goes into the fact that this movie just should have been longer. I feel like they probably did have a scene to where they did show that, but for some reason they probably cut it. I don't know, maybe due to COVID or maybe due to something like that. So I totally agree with what you said at the beginning. COVID, I'm just going to give this movie a huge break because they were filming during that time. So I feel they possibly did have a scene like that.
But I wouldn't even say that because they couldn't have been a scene because he was the killer. So it wasn't a scene that he was like he got caught up in that situation when it just wasn't true. So that's what I'm saying. It just made sense.
Not necessarily a scene showing him getting killed, but I feel like they could have touched on it more. Like they seen his tattoo and everything in that box, and they just went full blown with he's dead or whatever. I feel like they didn't really try to go like they didn't try to go deep with no research on that, like how they did with the other people. So
yeah, because for Boz, I think was it Boz teeth was the only thing left, or one of the characters, one like their teeth was just left, and they had to identify them with that. But for him, like he got skinned, so it was hard to really see if it was him because he got skinned. So all you really could go by was that tattoo, and Chris Rock being that was his partner, always seeing that tattoo and shit. I was like, okay, that made sense on why they assumed it was him.
You know what they could have did, and I don't think they did this in the movie. If they did, I don't remember. The picture that he showed with the
baby?
with his the baby and his dog, or baby and his wife or whatever. Like, I feel like they could have tried to figure out where the wife was or something, and then they probably would have found out that, oh, like he's not really married, or oh, this lady doesn't even exist, or something like that. And then the suspicions could have risen to like lead us to that. And we didn't get that at all. I feel like that would have been perfect. Chris Rock didn't see that picture, I don't think, until like way like after we figure out what the hell was going on.
But I think it's more so because everything was so fast paced in this film, bro. You really didn't have time to dissect and really go into somebody's background when somebody got killed, because shit, in a couple of hours, you had to worry about somebody else getting killed. Because I think after he seen his partner get killed, he was worried about the captain, because he was worried about the captain and her getting in, her being in the basement and shit. So he couldn't even do all the research that he wanted to do on that. So I think that was more so because it was so fast paced. Like, man, one person get killed one day, another person get killed one day. And I remember in that time period, like those people got killed in the same day. Supposedly his partner and the captain got killed in the same day. So he really didn't have time to investigate it like all of the other killings. So he just assumed that it was the person that we seen at the church, the person that killed the killer's dad. He just assumed it was him, when it was just like, you know what I'm saying? If you would have had time to do your research, you would know it wasn't him. But it was just so fast paced. And I think that's what the killer wanted. He didn't want you to think about it, because if you do too much research, obviously you're going to find out it's me. So that was smart. That was smart on his part to like, hey, like after I got killed, like I got to get on somebody else's ass. So I definitely fuck with that shit. But I was surprised he didn't have an accomplice, bro. I was so surprised.
I wasn't surprised on that.
And most of these Saw movies, I'm surprised they don't have like accomplices and how they get all of these people like one by one. And that's another thing I liked about this film too. Because usually in Saw, like I remember in Saw 2, what I really didn't like is that they were together. It was like an escape room style, and it was like a group of people. And like they was trying to escape out of the room, like they was getting poisoned, they were trying to escape. And the same thing in Saw 1 as well. They were trying to help each other out. I liked in this film that you couldn't really help each other out. Like everybody was really on their own in their certain situations. Like they couldn't ask for help or get help from somebody else. And that's something I did like about this film, because I feel like with that situation, like you just get too much help when it's really like your trap. Especially in Saw 2, like people have their certain traps to go down. Why is somebody else helping you with that trap when your name is on the envelope or some shit?
But I feel like that was cool, because there was always going to be another trap that you went to, or there was going to be another situation that Kramer set up for you. So I feel like that's why with the original Saw trilogy, I feel like it was cool that they did that and let people try to help each other get out of their traps and stuff. Because it's like, okay, if you get out of this one with the help of somebody else, y'all got to go to the next room, or while y'all trying to get out, one of y'all get lost, and then you're in another situation. This time you might be by yourself, or if you're with the same person again, or another person, it's like, okay, y'all got the same situation y'all had last time times 2. Like, you know, it's even harder the next time. So I feel like if you set somebody up with another person and they help each other get out, it's going to be another level. Because I feel like the sinister person who's planning this is like, okay, I'll make it a little easy for them to get out of this. But once they go over here, they really gonna have to try and do this shit then.
And I really fucked with how it ended too. And that's the reason why I really started fucking with Saw, was at the end of Saw 2, we end up finding out that Amanda was working with Kramer. That's some shit I always loved. And we also find out that somebody else ended up being an accomplice of Kramer's down the line as well. So I really fuck with that shit. And I really like how before Chris Rock ended up turning him down, he was trying to get Chris Rock on his side to really reform everybody into having an accomplice to actually help him, because shit obviously would be easier. And I like when they have accomplices like that. The movies just flow better. And I really feel like having that inside man is so helpful, because once you start to look at a certain person, just like in the Saw original series, it's just like we start to look at you. It's just like it's easy to keep tabs on you. But when you have that accomplice, it's not as easy. It's just like you don't know who's doing what. You know what I'm saying? So I fuck with that shit. And I like how he tried to, even though Chris Rock turned it down. Could we see that down the line that Chris Rock eventually goes back to him?
Nah, not with the way it ended. Not with the way he had his dad killed. Nah, that's not happening.
that shit was definitely, bro. That was definitely the best kill. The other one, the other ones, that was the one when you actually felt hope. Like somebody actually felt hope. He was like, "Oh, he finna get out. If you shoot that target, your dad finna be let free." But it's like, nah, nigga, your dad ain't finna be let free. They opened that door. That nigga started going right back up. And I think what the fuck was that?
He had it programmed because he knew Chris Rock character was going to actually hit the target and get his dad down or whatever. So he had to. This is why I'm saying, bro, there was no hope. Like even though that was the only kill that gave some hope, it was like he put that gun on Samuel L. Jackson's arm and he treated him like a puppet. So he raised it when the FBI and all that came in, so that way they had no choice but to shoot him because it's like, oh shit, like even though he the captain or whatever, like he pointing the gun at us, we got to shoot this dude. And Chris Rock just sitting there like, bro, what? Like the police are killing my dad the same way the police killed his dad and all, bro. That shit. And he just went down the elevator smiling. Chris Rock like, no, that shit was perfect. Shit was perfect.
Because I was kind of confused at the end what was going to happen to Chris Rock. And was he going to get the blame for shit that happened?
Oh, nah. He wasn't going to get blamed. Nah. Because they seen him. I feel like they seen dude going down the elevator. They just didn't get him.
Okay. Because for the first couple of kills, he was getting looked at sideways anyway, because people were asking him, like, why are they sending you like boxes and shit like that? Like, why are they specifically pointing out you? And people were thinking that it was his dad at first. I'm like, damn, like they could have been looking like, man, maybe Ezekiel Banks is the one that's had the mastermind behind all of this shit, is and could be the inside man. Just like Amanda was the inside person and Saw 2, and you didn't even suspect that she was a part of the whole game. That could have been what Ezekiel was. But you wouldn't have knew at that point until he would have shown himself to be the killer or the accomplice. But I feel like that would have been a nice twist if he was planning this shit out the whole time. I feel like that shit would have been dope as well if they was planning this shit out, him and his partner behind closed doors. I feel like this shit would have been dope because the whole department was fucking him over for years, didn't fuck with him, was calling him a snitch and a rat for being a good detective, for calling out the bad detective, saying that he killed people, calling out the dirty cop nature of the department. Niggas was just ragging on this nigga. So why not try to reform the police department yourself? So that's why I said, even though detective, damn, what was my boy name?
Banks.
No, the other dude.
Detective William.
Even though Detective William killed his father like that, I wouldn't be mad if he ended up going back to him and saying, hey, like, I want to be a part of reforming the police. My dad is dead. I understand why you did what you did. My dad is dead. It's gonna take a minute for him to get over that shit. But it's like, hey, I want to be a part of this because I've seen how the police can do people in my neighborhood, and I don't want anybody else to fall or be killed or go to jail by getting framed or some shit like that by the hands of dirty cops. So let me help you in reforming people. So he can be the inside man, just like Amanda was for Kramer on the inside of the police department.
That's an angle they could take. They can definitely do that. I feel like they might go with the easier, predictable path of like Chris Rock trying to go against this guy again in the next one. Because I'm sure there's going to be another one because they're trying to treat it like a series. So I feel like they're going to go down the predictable path of Chris Rock versus Detective William and stuff. But I don't know. That's a good angle though. I can see that happening too.
Because I wouldn't be mad if they just push Chris Rock over to my boy side, the killer side, and just have that white dude. What was white dude name? I think his name was O'Brien. Just have O'Brien, who thought it was Captain Banks, who thought it was Samuel L. Jackson, have him as the person who's trying to chase down the killer in the first place, and have Detective Banks as the person just like the inside man.
Yeah, I forgot he never died. He never died,
and he was the person who thought it was Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, he was supposed to be in charge, but Captain Angie, she was the one that was like, nah, Detective Banks, this is more personal to him, closer to him, and he feels like he should be in charge. So O'Brien was low key to the side, like, well, damn, I ain't in charge, so I'm just step to the side, let him take care of it. So O'Brien never died. So that's a good way that shit could go too.
That's what I'm saying. Because I don't want it to go down a predictable path. They're going against each other. Because in most of these Saw movies, you never catch up to this. You never catch up to them. Like, it's just you're really running in a wild goose chase. I would really like to see it earlier. Just you have the accomplice of Chris Rock. You have him now. What do you do with him? You know, how do you reform the police? Do you have Chris Rock going to other police stations, being the inside man, getting people to go to certain locations, and then that's how they get hemmed up? Like, have something like that for the future movies, rather than just having him chase the tail of Detective William. I think it'll just be better that way. You feel what I'm saying? But what else? How did you feel about Detective William and his character, his thought process, and how he really just masterminded this whole thing since he was really a jit? Like, that shit crazy. Like, he became a police officer because this shit, like, he had this thought process as a jit, bro.
That shit was perfect. I love the way they did that. Like, he thought he planned this out since he was a kid. He planned the way he was gonna hunt each person down specifically. The way he created all these traps, the way he got into the exact precinct that he was trying to get into and was able to be the partner for the exact person he was trying to be a partner for. His plan was executed perfectly and flawlessly. So I feel he did a great job. I loved his character.
Yeah. And
I just didn't like the fact that we knew it was him. That was all.
That's what I'm saying. I keep getting drew back by that fact of we knew who he was, because in the first Saw, we really didn't know who Kramer was for real, bro. Kramer was really like the mystery person, because in the first Saw movie, it was the person named Zepp who was the person who was, like, you know what I'm saying, tying up the doctor's family at the house. Yeah. And he was the person who had the camera. He was watching the doctor and the photographer really go at it inside of the little warehouse or whatever. So they really had everybody pointing at him when Kramer was the mastermind, and he was laying in the ground the whole time. That was something else that was dope as fuck. The fact that Kramer and Saw 1, because they was in that warehouse shit for a long ass time. The fact that he was laying still on that ground in blood with a gun in his hand for that long and didn't move, and they didn't recognize, that shit was dope. And I would have wanted not something similar to that, but just the mystery of that and that surprise of, damn, like, it's you. Like, that surprise gave the movie more credence, because that's really the only thing that really surprising that happened in that movie, because no really gory shit happened in that film other than that detective's killing when he got his head shot off in Saw 1. But when you seen that dude was laying on the ground and he ended up getting up, it's like, who the fuck is that? And then you seen that it was Kramer. Like, that surprise fucked your mind up. Yeah. And we really didn't get that with this Spiral film. It was just like, if you put your context clues together, okay, the partner, he's involved somehow. He's involved. And I didn't like that fact, because they wanted to point you towards Samuel and you just knew it wasn't him.
Right.
Yeah, bro. So what up, man?
And they barely showed him throughout the movie, so it was like, I don't really got much to go off of. Like,
for real, bro. And how did you really feel about Chris Rock's and Samuel L. Jackson's like relationship in the film? That shit was like a kind of weird relationship.
It was. I don't know how I felt about it. It was, I don't know. It could have been better. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, because it kind of seemed like he cared for his son, but then like he didn't give a fuck about that nigga. So I'm like where is all this coming from? Like, I don't know. It was kind of like
we love each other, but we don't really like each other relationship. That's what it was.
And it's funny because it seemed like he didn't like his son because he was a snitch. But it's like, my nigga, what? Like, you're supposed to be a stand-up guy, but he was the person. He was the dirty cop the whole time. So it made sense.
I think Chris Rock's character, Detective Banks, I don't think he liked Captain Banks because he just felt like he just wasn't as loving as a father as he should have been. Like, when it comes to the police shit, it was like his father always stuck up for him. His father got on Fitch's ass when he didn't back him up and he ended up getting shot and stuff. His dad found a way to get him out of the situation of turning on his part, quote unquote, turning on his partner for telling everybody he's a dirty cop and stuff. So from a business perspective, they had a good relationship. But I think as father and son outside of work, they just didn't get along well. And I think that's why Chris Rock's character didn't really like his father that much. But Samuel L. Jackson was just like, hey, shit, you don't like me.
The niggas ain't spend no time together, no dinners, no shit.
At all.
Like, damn, are you really my father? Like, damn, like,
He
no,
was
no
like,
love.
he was like, you're my landlord, and you stay like 2 floors above me, and we don't have dinner with each other. Like, what kind of shit is that? And he was like, you don't pay nothing, you don't pay no bills in here, so I don't want to hear no complaint.
Yeah, bro. But I also, and something about this film, I felt more emotion because of that relationship. Even though their relationship was so confusing and complicated, when his father, he realized his father was missing, he was like, oh, I gotta find where he's at. Like, oh shit. And it brought more emotion to the film because he knew his father was involved. He didn't know if his father was the killer or if he was being wrapped up inside of the murders, but he knew he was involved somehow. And I think that emotion really tied you in because it's just like, oh shit, like, is he gonna be the killer or is he gonna be involved? Like that emotion. So I felt way more emotion from the detective side than I usually feel with Saw films. So that's something, like I said, just emotion and story. They hit this shit on the head way better than Saw. It was just what you like Saw for, the drawn out traps, the gore. They didn't hit it on the money with that. But like you said, it was a reason for that. He didn't really want people to get away. So I like the point that you brought up about that, bro. I think that's a very good point. And how did you feel about the pigs? The pigs in this shit. It wasn't Jigsaw anymore.
Yeah, I'm about to say it wasn't Jigsaw. I don't know if the pig is gonna be the symbol moving forward, like unless they stick with this police reform shit that they're doing. I don't know. The pig was cool. Though. I'm just used to the original Jigsaw thing. So,
and even in the original Saw, they had like that pig mask was definitely involved. Yeah. So I'm like are we gonna see Jigsaw like again, or is it just gonna be like the pig shit moving forward?
Good question.
Because I want to see Jigsaw because Jigsaw is just so iconic.
Exactly.
Even though this isn't a Saw series, you still want to see Jigsaw because Jigsaw, that nigga, he rolling up and shit, like he talking to you. You gonna see him on the screen, like that shit is dope to me, bro. Seeing a pig and the voice change, it's like, damn, like I don't get that same feeling from the shit.
The closest we'll probably get though to seeing Jigsaw is just the spiral symbol. That's probably the closest they'll get to symbolism from that.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask this question too, because I feel like more people would pick Saw over Spiral. One, but let's looking at the first movies from both series and how both of them started off. Which direction do you like moving forward, and which one is better? Just looking at the first movies, do you like Spiral or do you like Saw?
Moving forward, I want to say, like, if I just had to say which movie I thought was better out of the first Saw and Spiral, it's the first Saw. Like you said, it had a surprise at the end of, oh shit, like this is who's really behind it. The killings just gave you more fear because they were hopeful and stuff. So and it was just different. It was legendary. We never seen no shit like that. So Saw is better than Spiral, but I like the direction Spiral is going in because these are emotionally driven killings, like, and we didn't get that with the original Saw. It was just some maniacal shit. But the way that they're making this sinister but emotional at the same time, I like the direction that Spiral is going in. And I feel like it could last just as long as the Saw series lasted. I think Saw made, 8 movies? I feel like Spiral can make about 5 or 6 at least.
And honestly, just looking at the first Spiral and the first Saw, I had to give it to Spiral. Truly, I had to give it to Spiral because I like how they're going down this path as well. But in the first Saw, you didn't get that much gore other than that when that police detective ended up getting shot when he tried to tripped over the tripwire and then the gun had shot him from the top. Like that scene was dope as fuck. But other than that, it was really like you just were with the doctor and the photographer in the warehouse. It really wasn't too much going on, even though in Spiral everything was fast paced. I liked how everything was going over what I seen in Saw 1. When you get to Saw 2, that's when you see more gore and you see more thought out traps. Boy, and just looking at the first movie of each series, I think I would go with Spiral from what I'm seeing. And I'm really going with Spiral from what you said, bro. He didn't want people to get out. Like, I keep saying that because that's such a good fucking point. He did not want people to get out. He did not want people to survive their killings. So that's a great point. I'm gonna give it to Spiral for that.
I feel like with Spiral, like this doesn't just have to stay with these characters. I feel like they could do like you said, like even if he doesn't necessarily partner with anybody, what if they meet people who are just as sinister? Or what if the second Spiral movie doesn't have any of these original characters, but towards the end of the movie, you see where these movies start connecting and stuff like that? I think that would be super cool. Like if we get a whole new cast for Spiral 2, but then like at the end of the movie, like you see like you see either Chris Rock or you see dude who played Detective William, and you see how this shit is lining up to like make more. That would be perfect.
Yeah. And I think that would be dope. That would be dope if we see Chris Rock at the end. He really doesn't have to be involved, honestly, because we already seen him in the first film really have his shine. Just pop up at the end and you like, Chris Rock was the nigga doing this? Like, that would be dope. So we would be like, oh, you are involved. Even after he killed your father, you still want to reform the police department. It's like, oh shit. So that will be way more of a surprise than us seeing Detective William again at the end or some shit like that. If we see Chris Rock, niggas will be surprised. Because a lot of people are going to be like you. Like they said, like, yeah, he killed your father. You really ain't gonna fuck with that nigga after he killed your father. But I think Chris Rock is really going to go to that nigga's side because he likes the direction and where his mind is at with reforming, especially with him being a good cop. He wants shit to be reformed and he does not want this shit to just keep trickling forward with the bad cop shit and with the Section 8 and that's killing innocent people and all that bullshit. So I think he will eventually go to their side. So I think this will be better than Saw, bro. I'm gonna say that shit right now.
It has potential. I'm
gonna say that shit right now, bro. The first movie got off to a rocky start. Some people gonna like it, some people gonna hate it, but I think it got off to a solid enough start for this shit to be better than Saw, just because storyline alone, and I think we're gonna pick up on gore moving forward. I think that's how it's going to be, bro. And I think more hope will be given to these future victims. More hope. Because like I said, in this movie, these bitches, they were all attached to Chris Rock's character, and they all fucked over him somehow, or they fucked over the killer's character. But in the next movie, we're probably not going to know who these people are, or if they're even intertwined with Chris Rock or the killer's character. So we're just going to give them hope. Hopefully they change from these traps, and they get hope. Some people are going to die from the trap. Some people are going to survive. But that's something that I do want to see, bro. And that shit will be dope. That shit will be dope. I'm telling you, bro. A lot of people are not gonna like this film, bro, but I fuck with it. And I'm fucking with it even more. Just with us talking about it, I'm fucking with it even more. And I gotta say that shit once again. That's fucking brilliant, bro. He did not want the nigga.
He didn't want nobody to make it.
He didn't want anybody, because I was thinking, I was so deep in comparing the two that I didn't even think of he didn't want them to survive. And that makes way more sense. And that makes way more sense.
With the second one, you can go the complete opposite. You can just really have a killer, like just give us what you gave us in Saw of just some hopeful killings in the second one. And like I said, like intertwine it towards the end to where it's like, now they really finna fuck with y'all head for the third, fourth, and fifth movie, because you don't know, are these killings gonna be emotionally motivated, or is it just gonna be sinister, or is it gonna be a tie-in of both? I feel like if they do that, and like really mess with our heads to where we don't know, I feel like they can definitely do what you said and outdo Saw.
And I feel like these movies would definitely be more drawn out as well. They're going to be longer. It's going to be post-pandemic too when they start making this film. I'm telling y'all, man, if y'all do not like Spiral right now, just keep giving it a chance, because these future movies will impress you. I'm telling y'all right now. I like how it's moving forward. So, hey, man, just keep rocking out with Spiral, man. Fucking with it. And I want to say this before we get out of here. The fucking music. The soundtrack to this, the soundtrack was, bro, the first scene that 21 that Nudie had came on. Young Nudie Cat came on. I'm like, oh shit, we vibing in this bitch. We vibing. So I just want to give a shout out to that music and the soundtrack, bro. That shit was vibing. It fit the film well as well. I fuck with that shit. I fuck with it. But anything else, bro?
If I had to rate this, I'd give it an 8.5. 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah. Just talking about it, bro, I would give it a solid 7.5 right now. Just with us talking about it. I think I was going to give it like a 7 before. I'm going to give it a 7.5 for this film. Like, I'm really starting to fuck with it. I think I might see this shit again and just look at it from a different perspective, because I went in thinking with the Saw perspective, but if I go in with a clear perspective and just think about what we just talked about, I might end up liking the film even more.
Because, like I said, the only problems I really had with it just wasn't long enough, but COVID, so that's a asterisk. I'm not really counting that against them, but it could have been longer, and it was predictable with who the killer was. Those are my only two bad takeaways. True. Other than that, Like the motives behind the killings were great. The acting was good. The action and the gore and stuff, I thought it was cool. The mysterious boxes that were being presented, the whole method behind everything was great. It was just time length and predictableness. Like that was it.
I definitely agree with that, bro. Definitely agree with that. But yeah, bro, you can definitely hit them with the social media.
You can follow us on Twitter at QE Podcast 1. You can follow us on Instagram at QANDE Podcast. You can follow and like our Facebook page, Q&E Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's pronounced the same way. And please be sure to click that notification bell so you can see anytime that we drop new episodes. And our email, QANDE Podcast at gmail.com for any business inquiries, questions, or concerns.
Yes, and subscribe to all of our podcast platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube, Q&E Podcast, and subscribe to my YouTube. Just type in Quincy Hicks into the search bar and definitely subscribe. Man, we got a lot of good things coming for y'all, man. We got Quiet Place. Me and Edgar just watched Quiet Place yesterday on Thursday, so we should have that review up on Monday, most likely Monday or Tuesday. So definitely watch out for that. Man, we got a lot of good shit coming, bro. We got what else we got coming up? We got
what's coming up soon?
Loki coming up.
Loki coming up, and what you call it? The Conjuring 3 comes out next week, I think.
Conjuring 3 coming out soon, and that shit look crazy. The devil made me do it. So man, y'all just keep fucking with us, bro, and we appreciate y'all.
It was another show too. That's Army
of the Dead. Army of the Dead
on Netflix. Make sure y'all check that out. We're gonna watch that hopefully over this weekend. I'm gonna try and see it so we can review it over the next week.
Yes, sir, man. We appreciate y'all for listening, and we out. Peace.